If you just go, I'm not a metrics kind of guy or girl, or I get confused looking at the numbers, then you probably need to think about maybe finding another career. Because I'm telling you, this business functions off the back of key metrics management, okay? So if you just want to go and knock nails into wood and you want to make money doing that, you need to go and get an hourly rate job. Don't run a business, please. You'll basically shit on your career because your business gets out of control. Then your business is in control of you. You now operate a business by default, not by design. What I'm talking about today is design. How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business. Hi everyone, welcome to the Business for Builders podcast. My name's Max, I'm your host. I'm the CEO at Smith & Sons here in Canada, and it's great to have you along. I appreciate you tuning in. If you're a first-time listener, you are so welcome. I trust you get some value, and I appreciate you hanging around. And for those that are long-term listeners, big love to you guys and girls as well. All right, as usual, like and subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. One of these drops every week. And obviously my intention, my goal, whether I'm doing a podcast or whether I'm your business coach, is to deliver massive value. So that is what we do. Now, be sure to go check out Business for Builders VIP, private Facebook group. Answer the questions there. And if you're a good sort, I shall let you in. I'm sure you are a good sort, just making sure that everyone's looked after. And I think that's about the long and the short. Remember to get across to elitebusinessadvisory.com. And if you want to chat with me just about what's going on in the business coaching world, then I would love to have a chat with you about that also. And look, I think that's about where it's at. If you want to email me, max at elitebusinessadvisory.com. I'm pretty sure all of those links and bits and bobs are going to be in the show notes. All right, let me get started. Today it's quite a first. What I've got for you today is we're actually going to use my iPad because I have got a bit of a PowerPoint here that I'm going to share, and I'm going to speak to my building fraternity or audience about how to unbroke your business. And, more often than not, speaking with builders in and around the Smith & Sons organization, as well as in the in the Elite Business Advisory Group, there is definitely a fairly consistent concern about finances and financial management. And so, today I'm going to, off the back of a PowerPoint that I spent a couple of hours putting together this afternoon, I'm going to just talk to those that are ready to listen, that have an ear to listen, that might need to listen, is how to unbroke my business, Max. That might be a question that I get asked. And so again, wanting to provide steak and potatoes. Now, I believe, my personal opinion, is that it's not hard to make money in the construction industry when you know how. And so, I think that is the chasm between you and making a shit ton of money and having a fantastic business and a fantastic lifestyle because of the construction business, is really just a basic education and understanding and implementation of said ideas, because we know that ideas are shit. Execution is the game, away from getting to that side where you are fully in control and understanding as to what's going on in and around your business. So what we're experimenting with today, folks, is running this PowerPoint off my iPad. I have my stylist, and I'm going to be referring to that a little bit. So look, this if you're on podcast right now and you're rolling down the road and you're in between meetings, or you're going to the hardware, or you're on your way to work, or on your way home from work, or anywhere else for that matter, look, I would encourage you to get across and see this episode 164, and view this one on YouTube, because I have a feeling that the visuals are really going to be something special, certainly something different that we've ever done before. So look, let's get started. Guys and girls, I want you to know that dealing with builders all the time, there is in my coaching business, we talk about the 5 steps of freedom, and that is the creation, the chaos, the control, the prosperity, and the freedom stage. So really what I do is I find a lot of the time we're in this creation and chaos stage. Now, creation is nice because we get the URL and we get the website and we get our emails and we've designed our logo and we've worked on the copy, and we've used AI to do that because we're all AI ninjas now, aren't we, folks? And the creation side of the business is full of optimism. And then we want to, obviously, we kind of have to run quickly into doing business as that new entity, or that company that we've established, because we need to make some money, clearly. And what that does is it throws even the best business operations into a little bit of a state of chaos, because everything is brand new. So it's like, okay, I mean, I've driven a couple of new trucks in my time, pickup trucks, and I had one in particular that had that might as well have had 1 million kilometers on it, because the trouble that it gave me inside of 5,000 kilometers was remarkable. And I know everyone's dying to know out there whether I'm a Ford, Chev, Dodge guy. The one I've got currently hasn't given me any grief whatsoever, but the one prior, it really did give me a hard time. And yet what we want to do is move away from that chaos stage, and we want to quickly, ascertain what it is that needs improving, and we really want to take control of our business, and that's where we want to move into the control phase. And so if you're looking at this on YouTube, you'll see that the chaos stage, this whole 5 steps to freedom, is actually designed in a bit of a J curve, okay? And the chaos stage is actually below 0. Okay, and the reason is because you are spending more money than you're making. Probably you are investing a lot of time, which you're not really getting compensated for. And what we've got to do is, the time that we hit and then we go into the chaos stage, we want to limit the amount of time that we spend there. And we really want to systemize and transition out and get into the control phase. So it's super important that you understand the philosophy, because it's not like, well, I've started a business and I feel like, everything's going to hell in a handbasket. That's normal. Relax. Now, the time that you spend in the chaos stage, that's where we want to fix some things. So really, I think where I'm going with this, how do I unbroke my business, is got a lot to do with guys and gals that are got businesses that they've just been doing the best they can, and they've got into a situation where they've got behind on their bills. And if I was to look at your profit and loss, and look at where you look at, specifically pay attention to bad debt. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. How is it that we recover from that really negative situation that does tear apart businesses and lives, and is probably the largest contributor to the 50% failure rate in the building and construction industry. So we're going to look at taking stock, really figuring out, being honest, and understanding some tactics. This is actually a very tactical episode on Business for Builders. And so if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to see we're going to start talking about how do we manufacture profit in our businesses. And there's 3 ways. There is markup, there's reducing fixed expenses, and of course, there's the actuals versus budget. What did I budget in my estimate? Now, I'm talking probably from a position of being the fixed price guy. But if you're in the cost plus world, I think you can take something away from this quick chat and really improve your business as well. So, but actuals versus budget, really not just in project management, also in estimating. I think a lot of profit is a natural byproduct of good estimating. And so we want to keep our eye on the ball in that regard. So they're the 3 ways that we make money. Right. 5 common reasons why building companies go broke. And I'm sure you probably know a couple. And this is really what I'm doing, is I'm exposing some of the things that bring the building companies down, so that we can then counter that with understanding going forward what is it that I need to do to avoid going broke, and focus on the things that Max talked about as far as what are the common reasons, and look at tactical ways to really counter that and to avoid that. 5 common reasons. First one there, they aren't charging enough for their services. Guys and girls, you know how I feel about, first of all, fixed price versus cost plus. I just think that if we're going to create peace of mind and security for clients, that we need to get paid a premium for doing that. So if you want to get paid more money, start thinking about how you're going to do fixed price. And I've talked about it more than once on this show. So email me, max@elitebusinessadvisory.com. Or just jump on that website, elitebusinessadvisory.com, hit the book a consultation, come and have a chat to me about where you're sitting, and we can figure out what we're going to do going forward. and that will be a good thing. The second thing there is estimating errors resulting in a negative cash position. This is essentially where you have allowed $2,000 for labor for XYZ. You've got into the build and you've got to the end of the build and it cost you $5,000 because you underestimated the time that the electrician was going to spend on that job. Common reason number 3 there is project management issues and lack of systems. Those things there is really what is going to bring even the best estimator down, because if you can't deliver it on budget and on time, your project manager, your superintendent, your supervisor, or you are going to cost your company money that has not been allowed for. Fourth one, overloaded with too many running costs, okay? You're too top heavy. I talk to too many builders where they mean well and they're actually willing to really self-deprecate, or they're willing to diminish their own position financially to look after their quote unquote buddies, and I think it's honorable. But the thing is, I can bring that back into reality and go, are you prioritizing your business relationships over your family, wife and kids relationships? And everyone's like, no, I'm not. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm a little bit torn here, because you don't want to fire this guy. He does good work and he's a good dude, but mate, your business is way too top heavy. That was number 4. Number 5, lack of attention to and lacking understanding of key metrics. Now, any of my business clients that are sitting out there listening to this right now, they know exactly what I'm talking about. The key metrics spreadsheet that I used in conjunction with our business development platform, it really does double down, because not only am I tracking the data, but I'm coming up with ratios and sort of comparisons, especially as it relates to marketing, based on the data that is collected month in, month out. And so, guys, if you don't pay attention to the specifics in and around your business, and you don't understand maybe what you're supposed to be paying attention to, you are absolutely flying blind, and you really won't have a chance of unbroking your business, just like I'm going to be talking about a little bit later. And just by the way, when I'm going to talk about unbroken business, if you just go, I'm not a metrics kind of guy or girl, or I get confused looking at the numbers, then you probably need to think about maybe finding another career, because I'm telling you, this business functions off the back of key metrics management. Okay, so if you just want to go and knock nails into wood and you want to make money doing that, you need to go and get an hourly rate job. Don't run a business, please. You'll basically shit on your career. Because your business gets out of control. Then your business is in control of you. You now operate a business by default, not by design. What I'm talking about today is design. If you're on YouTube, you'll see this. A little bit of a saying. I'm trying to get to the humanity side in this slide. And I've got a guy sitting here who's got his back against the wall. And he looks like he's in a state of despair because of whatever's going on in his life. And we do live this life of quiet desperation. I've got a hashtag there, hashtag quiet desperation, and then hashtag valley of despair, because we really start out, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to see my, I'm sorry to the guys and gals on the podcast, but check it out when you get home. Episode 164, Business for Builders. But you start out with this amount of optimism that's great. Then you get it to an educated pessimism, and then you get into the valley of despair, because it does get challenging. And so, a couple of hashtags there I've got is quiet desperation and valley of despair right there. But, the positive side of this, and you really got to focus on what's happening in life and make sure that you have the emotional capability to, endure, because I guess we're supposed to enjoy life, but there is a time where we have to endure some of those more challenging parts in our life, and make sure that we are focusing on the positive, but make sure we do have the resilience to get through. Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. So I want you to be encouraged before we get stuck into this, and I'm going to roll out some numerical tactics, and I just need your mental space to be in a position whereby you go, no, like, this is not the end game, okay? This is not how it's supposed to end. This is not the final play, and I would encourage you just to really cling on to some level of positivity in and around your life, because I'm sure you're doing what you do because you love it. I just need to help you set yourself up with some infrastructure around you that's going to protect you and your financial future. Okay, so what is the plan? Couple of questions I'm going to need you to answer. So, I think I love what I do. I am blessed to be able to do what I do. And I've got some really excellent individuals that I'm doing business with, and I so love it. What I'm going to need your help with right now, and this is where it's challenging if you're driving down the road to try and keep this mental gymnastics going on as it relates to these figures and these questions that I'm going to ask. So I would encourage you, when you get stopped, not at a traffic light because that would be illegal, but I want you to maybe when you pull up, when you get into your driveway or you get into the home hardware if you're going there, I want you to just quickly save this episode and revisit it when you get home, whether it's on the audio, on the podcast, or whether it's on YouTube. But I think this is really going to help you. This is the first time I've done this, so I'm really interested to see what the production looks like at the back end. Okay, I've got some questions for you because we are working on a plan. Now, you might be sitting there going, oh, Max, I'm frigging laughing. My business is going so well. And I am thinking, one guy, that is probably the case, and good for you. But the majority of guys can be in a position of challenge where they are frigging got their backs to the wall and they're under the pump. This episode is absolutely for you, and it could be a lifesaver. And I would love it if this video was good enough to go viral, because it can help a bunch of people just get some context and understand, okay, I don't watch all of my metrics, but the ones that Max talked about, that is what I'm going to watch to get this thing back on the rails and pull this thing out of a nosedive and make sure that it lives to fight another day. And it's maybe even something you can hand down to the next generation. All right, a couple of questions I've got for you. The first one there is what's your monthly fixed expenses? Now, we're not talking about cost of goods sold. So any labor or materials used to do jobs is not included in your fixed expense. Your fixed expense will be insurances, gas, cell phones, your wage, at a very acceptable industry standard, mind you. Please do not pay yourself 20 grand a year and say, yes, Max, I'm paying myself, because that means your business is definitely not making enough money. Okay, so what is your monthly fixed expenses? We need to have that number. I would say it's going to start at $8,000 to $10,000, and it can go up. For the sky's the limit after that. I mean, I've seen it as high as $40,000 a month and beyond. The second one there is I need to know your break-even point. Okay, what is your break-even point? Now, stay with me, because I'm going to drill down on the next slide with all of these items, and I'm going to kind of answer my own questions here. But I'd love for you to maybe rewatch this and just come along with me and really make it very customized to your situation. I want to know your gross profit margin. And you might like, mate, I have no idea what that is, but I'm going to teach you how in this video how to calculate what your gross profit margin is. And some guys will say to me, well, Max, I put this much on labor and I put a little bit, not as much on materials. And I'm like, mate, just pick a frigging number, okay? Go worst case scenario, whatever the case may be. But this is where you've got to start now building consistency in your numbers. Please, if you want to be a successful business person, you have to do what successful business people do, and that's what I'm trying to share with you now. The other thing that I need to know, number 4, is your average monthly billables in the last 90 days, okay? So, some of my guys have invoiced for 150 grand one month, and then the next month they're invoicing for 50. Okay, so, obviously, that's going to be an average of about $80,000 a month. So I need to know what your average monthly billings are, or you need to know what your average monthly billings are, because that's kind of going to help us calculate what the potential is of your business, because we're looking at what the revenue target can be, and if it's too far away, maybe it is too late. Okay, number 5, what's your total bad debt, 30, 60, 90 days plus, okay? Your bad debt is essentially, if you've got 30 days net, matter of fact, I think I owe my sign guy, I've got to deal with him 30 days net, and I think I've got a $300 sign that I haven't paid him for, so I must take care of that on Monday. So your bad debt, that is anything that's over 30 days, 30, 60, 90, 120 days. We need to bring that number together. Guys and gals, I'm telling you, if you have to go and dig down for this, it's probably not going to be something that you're proud of, but I'm telling you, it is what it is. And the head in the sand attitude or tactic or strategy to rectifying the challenges in your life is not going to work. Okay, so I would encourage you, let's walk this walk together. I would encourage you to just take stock, do an inventory of your company situation, even if it is something that you're like, geez, dude, it's going to be bad. I'm like, no shit. Okay, you're not Robinson Crusoe. You're not on some freaking island by yourself. Okay, it's 50% of the audience right now is all in the same situation. Probably only 12 months away from going broke. Guys and girls, just put the ego aside. Actually, you know what? I actually used to say ego and humility in equal balance or equal measures. But right now I'm saying throw the ego away, bury that shit. What I want you to be is confidence and humility in equal measures. I need you to be confident, and you're going to grow in that confidence based on you taking control, moving out of the chaos stage into the control stage. Right, next slide. Here we go. Right, so I'm going to run you through a possible scenario with all those 5 questions I just asked you. This is what I'm going to do. I'm basically running a scenario. And then you can fill in the blanks at your end. So you're sitting down behind there. I want you to write these questions down. What's your monthly fixed expenses? What's your break-even point, which I'm going to help you figure out in a minute? What's your gross profit margin, which I'll, again, help you figure that out? What's your average monthly billings in the last 30 days? So take all of the invoices that you've generated that you've hopefully been paid for and divide that by 3, and that'll give me an average. I'll give you an average. And then your total bad debt, okay? Just add up everything, maybe you'll have to ask your bookkeeper what that might be, but you really should know where you're at because people are going to be ringing you going, mate, I gave you a bill 60 days ago. When are you going to pay that shit, okay? That's a bad debt. So you need to hunt that down and get that total number. Okay, so the guys and gals that are looking at this on YouTube, if we fail to get this on there, which I don't think we will, my apologies, but I think if you are watching this on YouTube now, it means we've been successful, and I'm really excited that you can get this visual whilst I'm talking. All right, so the first thing I'm going to help you with is your break-even point, okay? So we're going to do this, it's simple math. Now, if you're feeling challenged with this, the great thing is I'm putting it on video so you can back it up and put it in slow motion, right? So you can actually nail down the finer details. Okay, so how do we calculate break-even point? We take our fixed expense, we divide that by our profit margin percentage, right? I probably, either way I go, it was going to be a challenge. Now, let's say that you're marking up by 33%. Then your profit margin percentage, because remember, folks, your markup and your markup and your profit margin is 2 different numbers. Okay, so when I mark up by 33%, it comes down to about 24.7 or something as a gross profit margin percentage. So we take our fixed expense. Now, if I back up, I'm going to do this for the folks at home. What I've done, because I didn't cover this, monthly expenses, what I've done in my possible scenario, I've used a fixed expense of $20,000. I've got a break-even point of $80,000, which I was about to show you how. A gross profit margin of 25% because I've got a markup percentage of 33%. My average billables for the last 3 months, every month 1, 2, 3, was about $50,000 a month. And my total bad debt combined was about $80,000. Okay, so that's a quick little orientation on our possible scenario. Now we're back here to how do we calculate break-even point? Right. I take the 20%, which is my fixed expense. That's what it cost me to run the business, including pay me, the director. And I divide that by 0.25, or you could go 20,000 times 25 and then hit the percent button. And that would give you $80,000 a month. So we've now established that our business, just to break even, needs to be $80,000. Folks, I want you to be encouraged because this is why I finally threw down and went, right, I'll be a business coach. If you don't get it, that's fine. I do, and I can help you understand. So get across there, elitebusinessadvisory.com, go to book a consultation. Let's talk about your business. Let's have a chat about what the possibilities are. And I've got a really cool deal for the back end of this as well for those that may be a little bit intimidated by the whole coaching thing. Similar to the last show. So if you caught the last podcast, you'll know what I'm talking about. Right. What's our pro tip? Fixed expenses should be a maximum of 50% of your target revenue. So if you want to do $1 million a year, you have only got a budget of $150,000 to run your business. So if you want to pay yourself $150,000 a year, you're going to struggle because there's going to be nothing left to pay insurances and sell and gas and all of the other bits and pieces in and around what it takes to operate your business. So just be mindful of that. Right. How do I calculate what my preferred monthly billables is? Now, we take the break-even point here and we add 15% to that. Now, that's strategic because if I've got an $80,000 break-even point and I add 15%, in other words, I'll take 80,000, multiply that by 1.15, that we come up with 92,000, which creates about $12,000 in net profit. Now, the pro tip on screen here is the difference between the 80 and the 92, the 12, is slightly above your target net profit amount, okay? So obviously it's very hard to pin down specifically, so I want to leave a little bit of margin there. So 92,000 is what I would say to you is if your average billables and your break even is 80,000, that's what you need to do based on your fixed expenses. If that's too much, then you need to drop your fixed expenses. Simple as that. Or you've got it. Remember, go back to the first or second slide where we talked about how do we manufacture. How do we manufacture profit? Well, we manufacture profit by our markup percentage. We manufacture profit by reducing our fixed expenses, or keeping the fixed expenses under control at that 15% of target revenue, or our actuals. And this is what I love about fixed price. We can dive into a project, and if I've allowed $5,000 for an electrician and he only comes back to me with a bill for $4,000, or he's given me a quote for $4,000, which he lives by, and I allow $5,000 because I want to put in a 25% contingency, then I will actually add that $1,000 to my gross profit column. Life is good. Awesome. Okay. All right. Next slide. How do I calculate what my gross profit margin is? So we've already covered, I've talked about the numbers here, but I'm just going to show you. So if you're on YouTube, you'll see these numbers and this formula, if you like. So we take the profit amount, which is your $33,000. I'm just using this as an example, okay? We have a project for 133 grand that we've won, and now we're saying, right, what is my gross profit margin percentage on that project, or as a percentage? So we take the profit amount, which is the $33,000. So obviously our cost of goods sold was 100 grand. We've added 33% to that, and we've come up with 133 grand. So our sales or contract amount is now at 133,000. So we take 33,000, divide that by 133, multiply that by 100, and that equals 24.8%. So roughly 25% with a 33% markup. So send me an email, drop a comment if you're on YouTube, and let me know that that's helped you out. I'm really wanting to break through today. This is some serious tactics around understanding some key metrics, not all. I've got a spreadsheet that's got, 20 columns. All my elite business coaching clients will be nodding their heads right now going, yeah, I've seen it. It's a monster. So it's pretty exciting because once you understand and don't, remove yourself from being intimidated by it, I think it ends up being a really good system. So maybe I'll do a whiteboard. Maybe I'll do a whiteboard on that. I tell my guys, because I've got it on spreadsheet where I trap the data at the end of the month. I'm thinking, and I tell them, I say, look, you got to put this on a whiteboard, and every day, every time you get a lead in, you go, right, we put it up there. Every time you spend money on marketing, right, put that in that column. I think I'm going to draw that, Dom, on the whiteboard in the conference room and just do a quick video on what I'm banging on about here in conjunction with what's going on. Right, so that's how we calculate. So when I ask for your gross profit margin percentage, that's how you work it out. Now, if you are a little bit up and down on your markups, because you mark up differently all across the board, I am really wanting you to do, like some guys say to me, and I've copped some shit on TikTok for this. It's like, well, how is it possible that I mark up that kitchen when it's a $20,000 cost of goods sold and I put, where I come from, 43% on top of that? Guys, look, I understand that you're running a charity. You're actually running a business where you want to be profitable, right? Well, then, if you're competing on price, you will justify that mindset by saying, well, yeah, I don't have to, mark up that much on a kitchen. And I'm not saying that you can't move. I'm not saying you can't massage and you can't, if you don't do 43%, fine. If you do 38%, it's better than doing 18, okay? Like it's double. So you're on the right track, but there does take an element of confidence. I've got coaching clients that when they say to me, oh, Max, what do I do about that? And I say, hey, great question, Mr. Client. And then I go off and I do a bit of a role play. They're like, oh, I can see how you can sell it. It's like, yeah, because I've done it for the longest time. I've never met anybody that's done it longer than me. So there's maybe some secrets as well. You know why? Because I'm a good student of the game. I'm prepared to go and give it a go, regardless on how it makes me feel, because I know for my business to succeed, that's how I've got to trade. Okay. Right. That's how we calculate our gross profit margin percentage. Okay. So this is where we start to break it down, where if we know we've got $80,000 worth of bad debt, because that's what I alluded to in the beginning, is that we are carrying, my company, let's say, is carrying $80,000 worth of bad debt. Max, how do I fix that? Okay, so this slide here, we've got $80,000, which is our break-even point, plus our 15% gives us $92,000, right? So here we have now the $92,000. We then multiply that by 12 months, and that comes up at around $1.1 million in sales. So guys, if you've got significantly more debt than that and you've got no chance of doing that sort of revenue target, you are possibly have left it too late. And I really feel for you. And I don't know. I know what I would do if I was you, is just I got to start talking to people and start doing deals, because if they send debt collectors and it goes legal, your run is going to be cut short pretty promptly. So, guys and girls, that's a little bit of an eye opener. So that first line here in the video, where we've got 92,000, which is our break even point plus our 15%, multiply that by 12, that comes up with a $1.1 million business. A $1.1 million business in my world is not a terribly large business. Okay. But if you're busy doing 300 grand and you're 80 grand in debt, you're going to spend 3 years trading out of that. Just saying. Okay. Right. So let's take this $1.1 million odd dollars. Right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply that by 10% or 0.1, by 0.1. That's going to give me our forecast net profit, which essentially is the $12,000, the net profit that we alluded to. So we've got $110,000, 400, and we're going to divide that by 12 months, and that gives me $9,200 per month in net profit, okay? So there we go. Now, if we were running our business the way that Max would like me to run it, we would be making $9,200 if we were ticking all those boxes, and we had good top of funnel, and we had good inquiry, and we were converting 20%, and we were marking up, in this case, by 33%, okay? Look, if you're marking up by 18%, for you to go to 33% is a massive jump. So please, 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 I don't want the audience to feel like we have to go to 43. If you go to 30% markup and you're picking up 23% gross profit margin, dude, you're doubling your gross profit margin. Kudos. Good for you. I really want you to make as much money as you can, but sometimes there's a little bit of a stepping program or a stepping process whereby you can't just wiggle your nose and click your heels and it all comes together at once. Okay, next slide. So let's keep our eye on that $9,200 a month that we've created in net profit. Now, right, so we've got our formula here. Bad debt divided by the net profit equals our payoff time, okay? So we take our $80,000, we divide that by $9,200, which is our net, okay, and it equals 8.695 or 9 months, give or take. So here is the brutal reality that you have actually got to invoice for $92,000 a month, month in, month out, don't miss a month, create that net profit, and you will pay, and then all of that net profit goes into paying off debt for 9 months. It's like a jail sentence, okay? The challenge is when we don't want to face the reality, the other reality is that we accrue the debt, and then we have new sales that help us manage the bad debt. And then when the sales drops off, all of a sudden, all of that bad debt is now exposed and there's no remedy. So we would rather be part of the solution, okay, in running the business properly up front. But in the event that we maybe have not been as prudent as what we should have, we haven't kept our eyes on the metrics, then we have to be creative and we have to come up with a remedy. And so, yes, is it simple? I think it is. The math is quite simple. The execution is bloody difficult. And so, I really do feel for you if you're sitting there going, actually, Max, the scenario that you just rolled out is quite cool. The one that I've got is got big horns and claws and prickles. And, look, you really need to talk to somebody about getting some help. You need to get somebody close to you who you can speak to, who you respect their opinion. You can really lay it out like I've just laid it out now, and you're saying, geez, the way that Max talked about it with that formula, it's great, but it means for me, I can only pay off 50. I can only make 50. and I'm going to be paying shit off for 5 years. Well, maybe that's better than going bankrupt, or maybe not. If your mental and emotional disposition is not going to be able to sustain you for that time, then there is processes to alleviate and to free you up from that, because your life is more important than some bullshit business with some dollars attached to it, guys. Just please get help and find the right way to handle this, okay? Right, pro tip as it relates to bad debt divided by net profit equals your payoff time. The first pro tip I've got there is profit margin needs to go up. See, I find it amazing that in one hand, guys will bitch at me because I'm trying to mark up too much, and in the same conversation, they'll bitch at how they're not making money. Okay, so you just got to pick one, guys, and you got to be happy with it. You've either got to be happy to fight for more margin, or you've got to be happy to work for nothing, basically. So, let's just try and get some context here. Second pro tip: fixed expenses need to go down. Okay, if you have, if you're $1 million business and your fixed expenses are, $200,000 a year, you're too deep by 50 grand. Someone has to go. It's just the math. It's the way it is, okay? You're chewing up way too much too much gross profit to pay off your business expenses, and it leaves you with no net profit. Okay, the third pro tip, and this is really reflective of where we went in the first couple of slides, project back costing, where you compare your actuals to budgets, is a must, all right, folks? This is super important because if you don't know where you've made a mistake as an estimator or where there was an overrun, then how are you ever going to know and improve your estimating? So what you don't measure, you can't manage. What you don't measure, you can't improve. So for you to improve as an estimator, you've got to know how the ball bounced on your job sites during construction. That's why it's important to back cost. Right. I need you to obsess. This slide here says obsess over the financial data. Max, but I'm not a financial guy and it doesn't boil my potatoes. I get it. I tell you what will boil your potatoes is when you've got a kick-ass business making a 10% net profit, i.e. you push a business to 10 million, it makes a net profit of $1 million and it pays you 500 grand a year. I'm telling you it's worth it, guys and girls. Can you understand me? All right, it can be done. If another human has gone to the moon, let's call 10 million to the moon. Okay, you can too. The difference is you just got to get better, be more committed, and you've got to obsess over the financial data. That's the answer, right? So we've got to measure and manage. What am I asking you to measure and manage? Okay, understand this. If you only hit your break-even point, you are not paying down the bad debt. So back to our scenario. If we were just billing for 80 grand, 80 grand, 80 grand, 80 grand, and not 92, 92, 92, what we're doing is we're using Peter to pay Paul. You've all heard that. Okay, so we're taking that 80 and we're accruing debt, and then we're paying off bad debt with that because we're not creating any surplus. We're not paying down bad debt, okay? So we're talking about measuring and managing. The second thing there is the amount under your break-even point each month. So if I was to only bill for 60 grand in our scenario and our break-even point is 80, I've now got to add 20 onto my bad debt of 80. It now becomes 100,000. And if I mark that up by 15%, I've got to be doing $115,000 a month. My life just became exponentially worse. And this is the warning that I will give you. If you are not already there, it is a slippery slope. As you can hear, if I have a really bad month and I'm dropped 20, not only that does that extend the time for me to now go and make enough money to start paying that bad debt down. I've gone from a 92,000 to 115,000. The stress on me and my business and my lead gen machine and my sales conversion process, the pressure. It is absolutely massive. Okay. And I just would encourage you to really take this seriously. Right. So the third point here, so the amount under your break-even point each month must get added to your bad debt amount as well as the additional time. But the point number 3 is if you create more profit, you pay down debt faster. So what are the 3 ways that we make money? Markup, fixed expense reduction, and then actuals versus budget, and making sure that we are always under budget on projects that's then adding to our gross profit column. Okay, so guys and girls, that really is, where we're at. I've got a slide here that talks about the professional growth pyramid, and we start at 0 to 500. We're very much in a unpredictable startup position. The next rung up the ladder is 500 to $1 million. we're in a builder foreman, but notice that we're in a survival mode, so we're in chaos. Obviously, then we move up to more of a project management where we're really handling the project management and heavy duty frontline sales, and that's creating that $1 to $2.5 million business, which to me is no man's land. It's the most expensive part, most expensive existence, because you need a little bit of help, which really chews into the profit margins. And then if we can break through the 2.5 million and we can get up to the 2.5 to 5 million, we're really into that businessman area where we've systemized the business well and truly. And then, of course, to move into the investor, where we're now scaling and diversifying, we're creating good net profit that we can then invest. We're in that 5 to 10 million range, and of course, the top end of town is 10 millions plus. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea as to if you get this right and you learn this lesson now, you work on your technique now, and you increase your speed or your revenue over time, you will make it. Just hang in there and stay close and keep educating yourself. Speaking of education, the more you learn, the more you earn. Mastering the Rockefeller Habits by Vern Harnish. It's a practical guide on how to break the entrepreneurial glass ceiling and move to a professionally run company. And guys, really a professionally run company is one that has great systems, has great people, and really does provide you with that generates more profit and that gives you better lifestyle. That is the end game, guys and girls. So get across. I think that link will be in the show notes. Get across to Amazon, and maybe grab that audio book to start with, and then maybe think about purchasing the hard copy down the track. Right, so what I've got for everybody here is I really want to promote this, because I seriously believe, based on what I've done in the podcast world, what I've done in the TikTok and Q&A world, and a lot of the emails that I have received, a lot of the meetings that I've done about coaching. Not everyone that talks to me about coaching comes on board as a client. That is for sure. So what I've got created on my elitebusinessadvisory.com is I want you to go to elitebusinessadvisory.com/academy. Now, there is the Elite Business 21 Silver Bullet Academy, and that is really going to give you some insight. And the beautiful part about this, I got told that the contents within are valued at probably around about $10,000, and it is. I've seen it. It's in there. There's 23 videos. There's a boatload of spreadsheets and documents and different resources within there that's going to help you educate. Because remember, if you've been in business for 10 years and you've not done a terribly good job because you've kind of been winging it, if you draw a line in the sand and get on board with the Elite Business Silver Bullet Academy, you can start to educate yourself over time, okay? You're not going to, recover in 5 minutes that which you've created for yourself a little bit of a mess over the last 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. So I need you to be patient, because recovery, it does take time. You feel the recovery more than you feel yourself going, into that valley. And so, this resource library, if you like, between video education and also hard copy stuff, spreadsheets, PDFs, and Word documents, for $8,000 or $10,000 is what the retail value would be. It's something pretty special. When you go across there, elitebusinessadvisory.com/academy, you can get that for 65 USD per month. So get across there to elitebusinessadvisory.com/academy, $65 USD per month. So be careful, whatever that is in your local currency, make sure you are, it is an investment. There's no question. I don't think it's comfortable ever to invest in ourselves, but I think you either pay now or pay later. And I would encourage you to get cracking sooner than later. We're almost done, folks. Matter of fact, that is the last slide. So, look, I really appreciate you spending some time with me. I know that, it was a little bit of a deep session, but I'm all about giving value for starters, but I'm also not, I really want to make sure it's calculated and it's very specific, and that you can take something away straight away. And then, for me as a business coach, I do three things. If you've been around, you've probably heard them. I bring awareness. I want to make you aware of things that are going on in and around your business that you may not be aware of. And that's because at some stage, we're all in a state of unconscious incompetence, okay? We are cocking it up and we don't know, okay? So my role as a 50-year-old, having been in the industry for 35 years, or going on 35 years, I can bring things to your awareness. The second thing I can do is I can bring education, exactly what I've just done now. And if you can't afford one-on-one coaching for a couple of hours a month, I mean, there's a really good option, a fairly affordable option, I would think. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make you accountable. So don't tell me you're going to do something, go and get it done, because it's up to me to highlight the fact that you keep talking about shit and not getting it done. People say, I know, Max. And I say, to know and not to do is not to know. So, folks, shoot me an email, max@elitebusinessadvisory.com if you've got questions. Leave a comment if you're on YouTube. If you find it, in yourself to give us a gracious recommendation on your favorite podcast platform, hit me with a 5-star, big love, good karma going out to you for doing that. And it helps me really get to more of the community to help resolve this whole 50% failure rate. Get across to Business for Builders VIP, like and subscribe, answer the questions. If you don't, you're going to probably sit in the limbo zone in the lounge for a while before I let you in. So get to those questions and be sure to maybe get across to elitebusinessadvisory.com to book a time with me if you want to have a really quick chat about where your business is going and maybe what you need to do as far as some strategy is concerned. Big love to you guys and girls. I appreciate you hanging in with me for 50 minutes or so. Go build that kick-ass business, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All to your success. Cheers.